We're going to bring up a young man who was raised on the farm, like many of us, knows what hard work is all about. And he is running for a very important office. If you were born and raised here in Edgecombe County, you know that agriculture was the lifeline for all of our parents and foreparents. So this young man, Walter Smith, is a candidate for the North Carolina Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services. We got Ms. Wilson sitting out there, and she's a prime candidate to tell you about them consumer services. So make sure you talk to her before you leave, Mr. Smith. She can give you a lot of information, especially about Edgecombe County. Let's give him a warm welcome, Walter Smith.
Thank you, Edgecombe County. It is great to be here. This reminds me a lot of where I was born and raised down in the southern part of the state. Very rural, raised on a tobacco farm, spent 12 to 14 hours a day, so I know the value of hard work. But let me give you just a little background about myself. Other than being raised on a farm, I attended NC State University, received an ag engineering degree, taught vocational agriculture for a short while before I went to work with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. I spent over 30 years with USDA, administering federal farm programs, making loans to farmers, many minority farmers. We had special programs for minority farmers and displaced farmers and beginning farmers. And that was important. That was an important part of my job to help that. I retired from there. I'm back to farming. And in the meantime, I was actually served as the mayor of the town of Boonville up in western North Carolina, so that gave me another perspective on consumer issues and how to deal with the public. Agriculture is the #1 industry in North Carolina, but we got problems. Our farmers, especially family farmers, they're struggling to survive. Rural communities and towns, just like right here, they're in a decline. And the Republicans haven't done anything to help you. So I want to make new direction to the department. We want new ideas. We want to make the family farm profitable again. And we want to rebuild the rural communities. We do that by giving them the same things that the urban communities have. You need broadband internet. You need adequate health care. You need infrastructure. And you need jobs. And agriculture has the potential with the right leadership to add billions, that's B with a B, billions of jobs to the economy of North Carolina and tens of thousands of jobs, mostly to rural North Carolina, if we have the right leadership. Now there's a lot of other things the department does, and I want to mention just a few. Consumer services. They're responsible for things like making sure the cosmetics you use, the drugs you take are safe and properly labeled. They make sure that the beds you sleep on, the pillows, the sleeping bags are sanitary. They make sure the scanners at the stores that you shop at ring up the correct price and you aren't cheated. They make sure that the weights and scales are accurate so when you buy meat and produce, you don't get cheated there. And they also make sure that when you buy a gallon of gas, you actually get a gallon of gas. Those are just some of the things the consumer services part of the agriculture that's important to me. But there's more. They're also responsible for our environment. They have programs to make sure our water quality is safe. They're responsible for animal welfare. They regulate, inspect, and license kennels. And they don't do a darn thing about it. Just in North Carolina this year, we had one of the largest animal rescues in the history of this country. Over 600 animals had to be rescued by animal welfare groups. It's been going on for years and years of complaints, and finally the animal rights groups or animal welfare groups stepped in. And the news media contacted the Department of Agriculture, who's supposed to be overseeing all this, said, "Where have you been? Did you know what was going on?" They admitted they knew about the problems with this kennel and shelter, the complaints for over 10 years, since 2005, and they didn't do a darn thing while these animals suffered and died. That's not right, and it won't happen under my leadership. They're also responsible for food safety. We got 128,000 people every year that have to go to the hospital, and 3,000 die in this country because of foodborne illnesses. That will be one of my top priorities. We want to make sure the food you eat and feed your family is safe. And there's one other thing the department does not do that I have a real concern about, and that's food insecurity in North Carolina. We are one of the top 10 states in the nation in food shortages. 1 out of every 4 children are food insecure under the age of 18, and we have food deserts scattered all over North Carolina. I promise as your new commissioner that I will lead the fight to feed the hungry in North Carolina. There's one other area that our commissioner is falling down on, and that's diversity in the department. There are no minorities in the top leadership or management of the Department of Agriculture. So how can he represent North Carolina when almost a third of the population is not even represented in his management? He has no idea what's going on. We're going to change that. We have farmers that make up his rural committee, his advisory committee. I talked to a guy last week and he told me that he did not know of a single minority all over the state on this committee. That's another thing we're going to change. Now, we have an opportunity. I'm excited about this election. We've got a great opportunity. We've got an opportunity to elect Roy Cooper, our next Democratic governor. A completely Democratic council of state. We got a chance to send Deborah Ross to the Senate and retire Senator Byrd early. We got a chance to flip not just 4 House seats, which we had intentions of doing to start with, but we can actually flip probably twice that many or more in North Carolina if we get out and work. And that means that when these reckless Republicans pass some of these stupid bills that they passed, attacking our minorities, our women, our voting rights, our education, the working class in North Carolina, Governor Cooper's going to pull out that big stamp and he's going to go whack, and he's going to put that veto on it, and we got the votes to sustain it. So I'm asking you, this is an important election, and if a coordinated campaign or any of your county volunteers ask you to volunteer, please don't look at your calendar and say, let me see if I have the time. I want you to say, yes, where and when do you want me there? Because the coordinated campaign is doing a great job in North Carolina, and they are here to help us. Now, there's an old saying that goes, if it's important to you, you will find the time, and if it's not, you'll find an excuse. This is one of the most important elections we will have in our lifetime.
That's right, amen.
So let's find the time, and let's don't find any excuses between now and November 8th. Let's turn this state blue.